Good morning, and I hope you guys are doing really well. And just starting off a little walk down my driveway, and just a beautiful December morning here in Oregon. But unfortunately, this is supposed to pass, and we're heading into a long period of rain, so that's coming up. But it was such a beautiful day. Figured I'd better get out walking and enjoy the area around the house. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of in shade here with the light coming from behind me, but you'll have to deal with it, I guess. Wanted to give you a 20-week update on where I am in the process. So I am 20 weeks post VSG surgery. I had a vertical sleeve gastrectomy in July of this year. And I am, let's see, on July 2nd, my weight was 310.5 pounds. And on my surgery day, July 16th, I was 300 pounds. And today I am weighing in at 226 pounds for a total of 74 pounds lost since surgery and 84.5 pounds since July 2nd, which is really hard to believe. Here, I'll turn around a second. Ooh, the light. Give you some better light. So, I can't say how excited I am, how amazed I am at the transformation that's gone on, and it's been a wonderful thing. Continue to lose weight almost weekly. Had one little stall where I didn't lose weight for 7 days. That's kind of been the longest period of time where I didn't lose weight. Other than that, it's been up and down between 1 to 4 pounds a week over the last couple of months. And primarily I'm eating a plant-based diet, get most of my protein from plants, although I do still eat yogurt and occasional meat, and I do eat some eggs because I do love my omelets. But for the most part, primarily plant-based. And I made that switch basically based on research that I've read about feeding the microbiome and the impacts that the microbiome has on so many things with regards to our health and well-being and stuff, and things that I wish I would have known years ago, but I know it now, so that's what I'm working with. But I'm going to get back to my walk and get me, I know I'm back in the shade. So I was going to talk a little bit about this week of why I chose VSG over other surgeries like gastric bypass. And I really don't have a preference as far as what I think people should do in this regard. I think that it's a very personal choice, and there's a lot of factors to it. And I think the first decision to be made is any sort of weight loss surgery right for your situation. And of course that's going to vary from person to person. In my own case, I had gained weight over time after I got out of the Marine Corps and went through college. Is probably where I gained the first 20 to 30 pounds that I had put on, which I'm back in that zone again. I'm actually lighter now than, I'm probably about as heavy as I was when or maybe even lighter than I was at the end of my college years, because I gained quite a bit of weight after I got out of the Marine Corps. Um, and that weight piled on after that and kept on growing, and I'd try various diets and have some short-term success, and then it would creep back in or come back in quickly or all sorts of things. And then as time went on, diseases started to show their head, such as high blood pressure and metabolic syndrome, and eventually diabetes, which was kind of the thing that put me over the edge and made me think about weight loss surgery. And then I started reading more about some studies that they did on the contestants on Biggest Loser, and how once you get to this certain point of obesity that it's practically impossible to lose the weight. That even if you did lose all the weight, when you get there, you have to maintain a lower calorie and higher exercise regimen than a person equal in size that was never obese. And it's really, really, really hard and almost impossible for a lot of people. Not to say that people don't do it, they certainly do, but it's not easy. And I think that that has to be part of your decision-making process, is what have you done in the past, and have you tried various diets and those kind of things. And I think it also depends on your overall health. And with the diabetes coming on, I felt like I needed to do something different, so I started looking into a weight loss surgery. Now, as far as Roux-en-Y versus the Roux-en-Y gastric bypass versus the vertical sleeve gastrectomy, if the doctor would have recommended Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, I would have done it. No questions asked. Well, I would have asked questions about pros and cons, but I certainly would have done it. I ended up taking VSG just personally because I like the idea of keeping my normal path for my digestive tract and not bypassing the stomach and some of the small intestine that happens with the gastric bypass. And again, that was just kind of my personal decision. I wanted to keep that as natural, even though my stomach was going to be sort of unnatural when they cut away 80% of the stomach in the VSG. But that was the main reason I made the change. Both surgeries, or both, the main reason why I chose VSG, but both surgeries have pros and cons. Gastric bypass is a little more malabsorptive because you are bypassing the stomach and part of the small intestine, but really I don't think that's a big, huge thing. Both of these surgeries don't work just because they're restrictive in how much you eat as far as the volume of food, because you can get by that if you wanted to eat all day. You can still gain weight with either one of these surgeries, and but they both affect a lot of bodily systems that enable us for a time to get past things that are affecting our hormones and obesity and hunger and all those things. And the surgery gets by that, not so much with restriction, but with a change in hormones and that kind of thing. So I really think it's up to the person. And generally speaking, they say that success rates are a little higher with the gastric bypass than with VSG, and I don't think they really know why that is yet. Some people think that people with VSG get hungrier over time than people with the bypass, and they end up eating more. Just right from the beginning, a VSG patient can generally eat a little bit more than a gastric bypass patient. A VSG stomach can hold about 3 ounces of food early on, and a bypass stomach can only hold about an ounce. And because it's not really part of the stomach anymore, it's a pouch basically at the base of the esophagus, and that used to be part of the stomach. And I just feel that that was the best choice for me. But people with acid reflux. I didn't have any issues with acid reflux before surgery, and that's one of the potential side effects of VSG is an increase in acid reflux. So if you have those issues, bypass might be the better answer. I do know of people that definitely have got the VSG surgery and then had a revision to gastric bypass because of those acid reflux is pretty intense. So that's something to consider. And the gastric bypass surgery is also a little riskier. It has a few more potential issues. It's a more complicated surgery than VSG, and I found that also appealing. Less complicated for the surgeon, the better. Although, obviously the surgeons are amazing and can take care of this stuff and have done hundreds and thousands of these, so there's very little risk. It's a very safe surgery, but slightly more risk than a VSG. And I'm all about less risk. So that also factored into my decision. Beyond that, like I said, some people will adamantly say, you've got to do the bypass, and others will say, no, VSG is just great. And I've seen people lose over 100 pounds with both of them. I've lost 74 so far, only 5 months into it. So it won't surprise me if I lose over 100 pounds. I kind of expect to lose another 30 to 40 before I go into maintenance phase. So the VSG has been working just fine for me. And I think the most important part of both these things is making a change for life with your relationship with food. Because if you don't make that change, you're going to go right back to where you were. And you have to make better choices and good choices for life. And it's easier to do that first year after surgery when you have the most restriction. Your hormones are really in your favor for not being as hungry as you used to be. And it's the time to evaluate what you're eating and find out what works best for your body. And I also think that's key, is there isn't a blanket diet out there for everybody. And unfortunately, a lot of dietitians and programs and things like that try to put you on this basic diet of low carb, and a lot of people in the bariatric world try keto or paleo, and which is fine if it works for you. And if you look at the Diet Fit study out of Stanford that they did that compared a low carb diet to a low fat diet, people in both studies lost weight, and about the same amount of weight over the same period of time. But also, and much more interestingly enough, is there were patients that lost no weight and patients that actually gained weight, even though they were eating the same amounts as the other people that lost weight on the same diets, both the low carb and the low fat. And one of the things we can take away from that, and that has been supported by some recent studies, is that everyone's microbiome processes food differently. Each individual has a unique set of gut bugs that respond to food in different ways, and we have to be a little bit experimental in what we eat to really find out what's best. Now, in a perfect world, we'd probably use a continuous glucose monitor, see what we react to, because really it's the glucose spike and insulin release, insulin converting carbs to fat, and fat storage is really a big part of the obesity epidemic. So knowing how you respond to certain foods is fairly key. But it's not that easy to get your hands on a continuous glucose monitor unless you get a prescription, and a lot of insurance companies won't cover that unless you're severe diabetic. But what you can do is you could certainly get a regular glucose monitor and test yourself often for a short period of time, a couple of weeks, where you're testing yourself a few times a day to see how you respond to different foods and try to stay to those foods that have the least glycemic impact, that kind of thing. Because even from person to person, what may not generate a blood sugar increase in one person may produce a blood sugar increase in another person. So you just don't know. You can't just say, oh, eat X, because it doesn't trigger, but it can for you if you don't know. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do over the last few months, is find out what works best for me. And so far, I feel like I've been pretty successful. I haven't had any big stalls, but it won't surprise me at some point. I mean, things have obviously slowed down as far as average weight loss. After the first couple of months of rapid weight loss, it's slowed down, but I'm still, it's obviously still going at a pretty good clip. And so my changes to my diet, getting more plant-based and limiting simple carbs and sugars and things like that. I'm not low carb. I eat quite a few carbs in a day. I still eat oatmeal, and I make banana bread, kind of a high protein banana bread that I really like, and other things like that. So, and I eat lots of vegetables and other plant products, but I do stay away from like white rice and white breads and things like that. I will eat a high fiber tortilla wrap kind of thing, but that's kind of where that's in the area that I'm in. But that may not work for everybody, so you do have to experiment a little bit, find out what your zone is. That's where my zone is right now, and that's where I'll keep going. And this video has been a lot longer than I had planned. I just wanted a short kind of video to let you know I'm still alive and where I am at 5 months. But I hope you're doing really well, and if you're considering the surgery, look into all of the facts. Feel free to reach out to me through comments or whatever with questions, and I'm happy to answer them. I'm happy to tell you about my journey and what I'm doing, how I'm eating, my exercise and that kind of thing, whatever will help you. I want other people to be successful, and that's why I kind of started this channel, is to map my success and hopefully inspire others to be successful, whether you get the surgery or not. So until next time, I hope you're doing well, and take care.